Hello Internet, I'm Elliot the Purple Hair Doofus and welcome to Buddy Reads, where I read a small selection of a book and review it for you. Today we are covering chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I hope you've read up to that point yourself because I do not want to ruin anything for you. This section starts off with Kavote playing his song at the talent competition. Him playing this incredibly dull song that everyone knows and making it look difficult, and then playing a very difficult song that no one knows how to play and making it look boring. And I'm reading this and I'm realizing why I don't like Kavote that much. Not in this book so far anyways. And it's because Kavote is just too perfect in this book right now. There's no actual conflict with him. Everything that he wants to do, he just kind of does and gets away with it. And it's kind of dull. But he plays the song. There's some arguments among the audience over whether or not what he did was hilarious or offensive. Because on the one hand, he played a great joke, showing people that an easy song can be difficult and showing people that a difficult song can be easy. But on the other hand, he totally played the audience for fools, and no one likes to be called a fool. So where exactly does that put him? And it's a very mixed reaction around the room. His friends have this conversation about it, and then they are visited by, what's her name? They are visited by another musician who is like 6'3" in heels. Their new accomplice, Manet, manages to convince her to let him buy her a drink. And everyone is shocked by this. He's like, I know things that none of you know. I know how to make a woman happy. You just have to trust me on that. And the thing is, he's saying these things, and the words that are coming out of his mouth from any other person would seem asshole-ish, but from him, they don't. It's so strange. Eventually, Kavote and his friends drunkenly go home. Kavote then goes to his admissions test quiz thing. And he is waiting in line when he's bought some food, he's gotten some plums, and then Ambrose shows up and they have another dick measuring contest, and it's just, why? And while he's arguing with him, Kavote realizes something because he offers Ambrose some of his plums or nuts. They were nuts, but they tasted like plums. And Ambrose says, "No thanks, I do not like the taste of plum." And Kavote goes, "Holy crap," runs away from the line as fast as he can to his friend Simon. And he's like pounding on the door. "Simon, Simon, Simon, oh my god, Simon, oh my god, Simon." And then 2 doors down, Simon opens up and he's like, "What are you doing? I don't even live there. Come here." And so Kavote runs over to him and he's like, "Simon, Simon, Ambrose poisoned me." And I'm like, yes, some conflict. And Simon invites him in. Ambrose sits down and he's like holding a knife and he's like, "I'm gonna kill Ambrose." Simon's like, "That's a bad idea. Don't do that." And he's like, "Are you sure? It feels like a really good idea." And then Simon realizes that the poison that Kavote has been given is supposed to, let's just say it's supposed to strip away all your inhibitions and make every idea that you ever think of in the moment a great idea. Kavote's like, that's silly. Simon's like, "Okay, think of a bad idea." And so Kavote he's like, "Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? I can't go to the hospital." And Simon's like, "No, if you go to the hospital, they'll do all sorts of tests on you. You don't want to go to the hospital." And Kavote's like, "Agreed, I don't want to go to the hospital. So what do I do? What do I do?" And he's like, "Just stay here. The poison will be flushed out of your system in 8 hours and you'll be fine." Kavote's like, "But I've got my test in an hour." And Simon's like, "Well, crap. I'll give you this brilliant solution and then you just squash it." But Simon says, "Okay, do you know anyone who will trade with you?" And Kavote says, Fella will do it. Fella, she's already offered. Fella." I messed up. In my previous video, I said that it was Denna that was waiting with him. It was Fella that drew the tab at the end of the quarter or at the end of the tests and offered to swap with him. And so Simon's like, okay, you just sit here, sit on your hands, don't do anything, and I'll go get Fella. Simon runs away and he's back in like 5 minutes with Fella, and he's knocking on the door and goes like, yes? Simon's like, it's Simon. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't do anything. And Kavote's like, it was funny. I was thinking about doing something funny, but I couldn't really think of anything funny. Maybe this stuff does more than just strip away your subconscious or whatever. And Simon's like, yeah, that is kind of funny. He's like, I'm gonna come in with Fella now. And Kavote's like, oh, she's here? He's like, yeah. Then he walks in and Kavote's like, shirtless. And Simon's like, whoa, shirt on. Kavote's like, are you sure? I was hot. Simon's like, you could have opened the window, and Kavote says, well, I didn't really want to deal with any, exterior objects. And Simon's like, that's probably a good idea. Kavote's like, really? You can have those too. So they have a conversation with Fella. Fella says, of course I'll trade with you. And so they do trade. Kavote goes back to his place, and after the toxin has flushed through his system at Simon's place, and as he's going back, he's having what he calls like plum reactions or plum memories, where he'll like taste a little bit of plum in his mouth and instantly have that thought of, I have no inhibitions, I have no bad ideas. But he'll also get flashes of memories from when he was a child, and it just kind of tears him up inside. And so he's at home and he is, hugging his pillow and just kind of like this ball of anxiety. He doesn't want to be bothered when Ari comes and she's like, are you here, Kavote? Kavote is like very still, trying not to move because he doesn't want her to know how bad of a state he's in. And he's like squeezing himself tighter and tighter and tighter. And Ari's like, oh. And she like goes over to him and starts stroking his cheek. And she's like, it's okay, Kavote. I'm here. And Kavote actually breaks down and he says, I just miss her so much. I want my mom back so bad. And that part was like really, really sad. And there I have some conflict and I'm like, okay, that's really good. That's really good. And then we keep on going. More. We fast forward to the day that Kavote is supposed to be tested, and he runs into Master Ilion, who is kind of like crazy master, the one who does all the crazy stunts and stuff. He runs into him and he's like, can I ask you a question? And Master Ilion's like, I don't think I can stop you. Why didn't you ask me to be in your naming class? Dinah had mentioned it before and said that you asked her to be in it, but not me. Why? Master Ilion says, you're asking the wrong question. See, you're a very clever boy, but you are too clever for your own good. And Kavote's like, I don't understand. And Master Ilion says, okay, here's a test. There's a door in front of me right now. I would like to get through this door, but I do not have a key. Can you help me? It's like, sure. And he pulls wires and springs out of his pocket and picks the lock for Master Ilion. And Master Ilion walks through the door and he's giving him more insights and he's like piling these robes onto his arms. And Kavote's like, what are you doing? And then he starts lighting the robes on fire. And he's like, what are you doing? Master Ilion's like, you're asking the wrong question. And Kavote's like, what do you mean? He's like, you're asking the wrong question. And Kavote's like, wait a minute. Whose room is this? Master Ilion's like, of course. There you go. You've asked the right question for once. And he says, it's Master Hemis. I hate that bastard. So I'm burning all of his stuff right now. Oh, God. Eventually, Master Ilion's like, you better run before someone catches you. I have every right to be in this building, but you do not. So you better run, and I suggest that you wash up before you go to your test, because if you go there smelling like smoke, well, things will happen to you. Fudge! And he runs away and he showers and he goes back for the test. Doing the test, and he's getting questions from all of the professors that he's met before. And he's doing so-so. He's not doing great. He gets to the question from the teacher who leads the archives, and the only question he has for him is, what are the rules of the archives? And it just kind of breaks Kavote's heart, because he was hoping to impress him so that he could get back into the archives, but no such luck. And then it moves on to Master Hime, who says, did you burn down my place? And then he says a racial slur at the end of it, and it trips Kavote's mind, and it trips Kavote's anger, and he's like, no, I didn't burn down your place, but I wish I did, you son of a bitch. People are like, whoa, hold on a second, whoa. Kavot's like, I apologize, but that word that he just used on me is like the worst racial slur that you could use on a traveling troopman, and it really tripped my anger. I apologize. The last question is, where does that word originate? And Kavot tells the definition of the word. It says that it came about when people were actually hunting down troopsmen on the road and imprisoning them for no reason. And so the teacher's like, oh, okay. The teachers confer, and eventually he gets hit back with a tuition of a lot of money. It's like slightly less than the amount of money that he was thinking that he was going to get. And he's like, thank you. And he walks away, and he's like, oh God, oh God, oh God, how am I going to get all this money? Oh, fudge. My battery died. But anyways, Kavot's like, oh God, how am I going to get all this money? He goes around to the bar that he works at, and they're like, my refrigerator's broken. And he says, I can fix that for you. And the bartender's like, really? And Kavot's like, yeah, let me take a look at it. And it's just another example of him being amazing and awesome at everything that he touches. And it's kind of annoying. But the barman's like, oh, thank you for doing that. Here is like 2 talents. Here's some money. And it's still not enough to actually pay for his tuition, but it's a step in the right direction. And he has to pay within 24 hours or something like that. And it's getting closer and closer to the date. And he goes to the fishery where he made the lanterns. And they say, oh, I sold your lanterns for this much. Subtracting all of the money that you used to get the supplies, you get this much. And Kavot's like, thanks, but it's still not quite enough for tuition. He's still walking around looking for tuition, and then he runs into Denna. Actually, he doesn't run into her, he actually goes to her. And I wish my camera were working right now, because when he gets to Denna, I almost fall asleep. All this stuff with Denna is just so dull and boring. I don't know how you guys put up with it. I'm just like, please move away from the boring woman. I suppose I would be more interested if Denna was actually a badass, but she really isn't. The way that he pines after her is just so... And he visits her at her place where she says she's not being held captive, but she alludes to the fact that she might be held captive, and it's just why? After he visits her and gives her a present, and she says some sweet things to him, and he says some sweet things to her, and it's all very boring. He goes to the moneylender from the first book, who is actually a demon, and he tries to collect some money from her. They have a very nice conversation. It's very entertaining. She's about to take his blood for the money. She says, you know what? Wait a minute. I will give you more than enough money to pay for your tuition if you can tell me how you sneak into the archives. Because you mentioned that you could sneak into the archives. Kavot's like, I wish I could, but I can't. The moneylender doubles it. The more that she doubles it, the more Kavot thinks about all of the things that he could do with all that money. She doubles it like 2 or 3 times. By the end, he's like, I really, really can't. It's to do with a good friend of mine, and she would not appreciate a new friend coming in. I so would if I could, but I can't. I really, really can't. And the moneylender's like, damn you, you're telling the truth. Just bring me the pictures of Spider-Man. I can tell that you're telling the truth, so I won't push you any farther. It's admirable that you want to save your friendship with this person. But if, let's say, you ever wanted to, let me in on the fun, I would pay you handsomely for that. And I'll let you know that I'm going to get into those archives one way or another. It just makes me wonder, what is in those archives that she treasures so much that she is willing to quadruple his tuition for with no repayment at all. But that's pretty much where our section ends today. I guess I'm just really irritated with there's not a whole lot of action in this book so far. Like, the most interesting part of the book so far has been when he was drugged by Ambrose. The test was kind of interesting too, but the way that he just pines after dinner and this whole just trying to make money thing, it's just get to the magic and the killing things part, please. That's what drew me into the first book, and now I'm 100 pages in, and I know that's it's barely even a tenth of this book, but still, I was hoping for so much more. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you like this video specifically, go ahead and click the like button. And go ahead and leave a comment letting me know just what is the worst female character ever written in your opinion? Yeah, that's a good question. I've been Ollie the Purple Doofus. This has been Buddy Reads reminding you to watch your pajama radius. And I will see you all in the next section of The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. Toodles!